Hello, captains. How are you this afternoon? It is a kind of a sad day. It is a sad day. It definitely is a sad day. If you haven't heard, there was an assassination attempt on President Trump. Uh, a ridiculously botched assassination attempt. So I'm sure whoever was running the show on that op is not very happy. Is not very happy with the end result. Clearly, the shooter was not meant to miss. He grazed President Trump's upper right ear. He did kill an innocent bystander and then was shot himself. So, of course, there's no way to interrogate this person anymore. And the FBI, the same FBI. I know what you're thinking. The same FBI that was like, oh no, there's no laptop. It's fake. It's Russian disinformation. It's a hoax. The same intelligence community that I think it was 51 members that reported that the laptop was fake, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Fast forward to now, the laptop has been accepted into evidence. The FBI has admitted that it is a real, that it really did belong to Hunter Biden. And well, there's a lot of corruption going on within the FBI, and that's the same law enforcement agency that's now investigating the attempted assassination of a political candidate in this country. Remember, these are the same guys that were okay with putting him in prison for nonsense. So I suspect they're not really going to find much. They're going to make sure to hide whatever evidence they need to and just move on, right? But let's take a look. Let's look back a little bit. Let's just look back a year and see how we got to this point, okay? So I'm just going to today we're going to do a bit of a different format. We're not really doing it in podcast format. We're just going to show you some of the recent clips and videos and news articles that led up to this point, just to give you an idea to make an informed decision this November during the election, assuming that we're allowed to vote, assuming that polling places don't get closed down or that some other pandemic or world event doesn't prevent us from doing so, right? So anyway, without further ado, the first thing I want to show you guys is back in September of 2023, Tucker Carlson, a very famous political commentator, had said that the way things were going, with all the stuff that the media has been reporting on the left, the Democrats, all the pushing, all the rhetoric they've put out there, is leading us towards an assassination attempt. And I just want to show you guys the date on here. This was reported back on September 1st, 2023. Okay. And of course, the left, brought out statements saying, what a conspiracy theorist. Look at this. Ha ha ha, whatever. Right. Shortly after, the Democrats tried to get, if you recall, they tried to get Trump off ballots in some states. Specifically, one of them was Colorado. So it's like, all right, it's like they're trying everything they can, like just throwing as much shit at the wall and just hoping some of it sticks, right? Whatever it takes, get them off the ballot, take them to court over silly little stuff that, where the statute of limitations has run out and so on and so forth. So anyway, they did try to get him off the ballot back at the beginning of the year. And as you can see, the Supreme Court had to, kind of jump in and say, nope, you cannot kick him off the ballot. So Democrats, of course, once again, were like, crap, what are we going to do? It seems like no matter what we do, we can't get rid of allowing the public to vote democratically via our democratic mechanisms to elect the person that we want to elect, right? Let it happen. That is the democratic process. Allow it to happen. Whether you like him or not, it's really not for you to decide if the guy can be a candidate. So anyway, Supreme Court strikes it down. Boom, he's still stuck on the ballot. So then, then they resorted to, hey, you know what? What if we try to take away his Secret Service detail? Now, at this point, you're probably getting a sense that these guys are trying hard to stay in power. And in a bit of supporting evidence for you, there is another Democrat candidate that is also trying to run. I'm sure you're familiar with him, and I personally like the guy. I don't agree with a lot of the stuff that he champions, but I certainly believe that RFK Jr., Robert Kennedy Jr., is a much better candidate than Joe Biden. You know, if I was on the left, I'd be doing anything to vote for this guy. You can see here again another candidate. RFK Jr. continues to seek Secret Service protection, threats detailed in Freedom of Information Act requests. So we get down to the same thing. Why are they not giving a political candidate of this stature, giving them Secret Service protection? This is the norm. And again, research anything I say, guys. Don't just take my word for it. Get out there and research it. But traditionally, he would have Secret Service protection, and it looks like he's been denied. After the document comes after repeated denials of Secret Service protection for Kennedy. Syria has sent at least 6 letters to U.S. Secretary of Homeland Security Alejandro Mayorkas. Remember, this is the same guy that will not close the border under any circumstances, okay? But that's a topic for a different day. So you've got now Trump going through all these legal cases. You've got them trying to get him off the ballot. Then you have them trying to take away his Secret Service detail. And if you recall, one of the people asking for that was Alejandro Ocasio-Cortez, AOC, who is just full of such vitriol and hatred. I mean, this woman is just anything but a good human being. And she was one of the people that was pushing for that. So, all right, why do they want to take away his Secret Service detail, you might wonder? You know, even considering America has had these things in play for years, decades, you know, and why break the status quo just because Joe Biden says so? I don't know, right? I don't know. Anyway, let's move on to the next tidbit here, where then they were saying, I don't think we are going to participate in Democratic debates. Are you opening your eyes yet? Why would they do that? You know, America is a country founded on the ideals of democracy, right? It is a republic in which every state has their sub processes to the federal government, and all the states have to come together and watch debates of different candidates, try to kind of go back and forth. It's a whole machine that has to run and usually runs properly. For Democrats, the party of liberalism and progressiveness and the Ku Klux Klan and slavery, for a party like this to suddenly say, hey, you know, I don't think we're going to do any debates, that tells you that they're not letting people pick their candidate. They're just telling them who their candidate's going to be. Okay. So yeah, we're just kind of going down the list here, trying to connect the dots for you, audience. Let's get back to those legal cases. So this is Alvin Bragg. He is the DA that was prosecuting some of these cases. And if you remember, there was a statute of limitations on some of the clauses that they needed in order to prosecute Trump. And they made an exception in order to bring his case to the forefront. Just silly crap using, it's state, there's federal campaign finance laws, and the state of New York was somehow trying to insert itself into a federal scenario, right? Which it really can't do, but they did it. They found a way to, jump through the loopholes and make this happen. Now, here's the issue with Alvin Bragg. Alvin Bragg is close friends with a gentleman who if I remember correctly, and I apologize for all the crazy ads on here, but if I remember correctly, this individual here, Sheldon Johnson, I believe he had been in prison, and he's close friends with the guy prosecuting Trump. Okay. And this guy goes and dismembers a body. He goes and kills some woman, if I remember correctly. And they had, Sheldon Johnson, 48, has been charged with murder after a severed head was found at a Bronx apartment. Think about it, guys. This is the guy, this is the professional guy that is sitting there trying to prosecute Trump. And, one of his buddies is dismembering heads. So I don't know, man, these Democrats are getting a little wacky, if you ask me. And so we were looking at the statute of limitations. We were talking about, they missed the statute of limitations by a lot because this was very old. They could have brought this 7 years ago instead of bringing it right in the middle of an election. If you don't think it's odd that they've waited all this time to suddenly prosecute Trump when he's been a New York City fixture for decades, I mean, you struggle with connecting the dots, viewer, if you're struggling with that. It's the coincidences here are starting to pile up quite a bit. So let's take a look at what happened shortly after the assassination attempt. The Washington Post, a leftist media publication, claimed that Trump was escorted away after loud noises at a Pennsylvania rally. Meanwhile, the owner of the Washington Post, Jeff Bezos, Amazon, said, our former president showed tremendous grace and courage under literal fire tonight. So thankful for his safety and so sad for the victims and their families. I think what I'd like to ask, and I know that Jeff Bezos, my understanding is he doesn't really get involved with steering the Washington Post in any one direction or another. But, if I was in charge of the Washington Post, I'd say, guys, at least get your facts straight. It wasn't loud noises at a rally. It was an assassination attempt. It was a shooting. So anyway, the media tries to kind of, spin it for the rest of the world that's not here to really see what's going on. And again, this is why I tell you guys, I recommend using Twitter for all your news. Stop looking on CNN. Definitely stay away from the New York Times, NPR, all these publications that are just propaganda machines. So let's take a look at a couple of other examples here of, I'm sorry, I had this pulled up, and then let's take a look at a couple of other examples. Now, Democrats, shortly after the assassination attempt, Joe Biden came out and said, "Oh, we don't stand for this." And even AOC had a post out there where she said, "Oh, we don't stand for this garbage." Posted this video, which, let's take a look. Let's watch.
I just don't even know why there aren't uprisings all over the country. Maybe there will be.
People need to start taking to the streets. This is a dictator.
There needs to be unrest in the streets for as long as there's unrest in our lives.
Remember, these are the Democrats talking.
Of the state.
Show me where it says that protests are supposed to be polite and peaceful.
Do something about your dad's immigration practices, you feckless.
When they go low, we kick them.
How do you resist the temptation to run up and wring her neck?
The biggest terror threat in this country is white men, most of them radicalized right up to the right.
I thought he should have punched him in the face. I said, even if you lost, he insulted your wife.
Yes.
He came down the escalator and called Mexicans rapists and murderers. He said, well, what do you think I should have done? I said, I think you should have punched him in the face and then gotten out of the race. You would have been a hero.
I'd like to punch him in the face. I said if we were in high school, I'd take him behind the gym and beat the hell out of him.
Punch some people in the face!
When was the last time an actor assassinated a president?
They're still going to have to go out and put a bullet in Donald Trump, and that's a fact.
Look, as his character is
Put a
stabbed
bullet
to
in
death.
Donald Trump, huh?
Where is John Wilkes Booth when you need him?
I have thought.
Do you think this creates peace, guys?
About blowing up the White House.
A Missouri state senator is under investigation by the Secret Service after saying she hopes President Trump is assassinated.
I will go and take Trump out tonight. And if you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant,
these people are garbage.
in a department store,
evil.
at a gasoline station, you get out and you create a crowd. And you push back on them. And you tell them they're not welcome.
Why? You see a Trump supporter get out and create a crowd? Why?
And
what are we,
sadly,
Nazis?
the domestic enemies to our voting system and our honoring our Constitution are right at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
They're not going to stop before Election Day in November, and they're not going to stop after Election Day. And that should be, everyone should take note of that on both levels, that this isn't, they're not going to let up, and they should not.
If you think we're rallying now, you ain't seen nothing yet.
So there you have it, guys. I mean, they can't deny it at this point, right? Like, we're not debating whether Democrats are promoting violence in America or hatred or ridiculous rhetoric. I mean, look at all the universities with all this pro-Palestine garbage going on. It's just pure evil. I mean, you don't have conservatives out there doing these insanities, right? Like there's no, we're not setting up encampments and this and that. It just blows my mind that we've gotten to this point. Anyway, let's continue with our little journey here through reality and common sense. Okay. This is one of the witnesses that was at the Trump rally. Listen to this.
Back, what were you doing before the shooting happened, and then what did you see and hear?
I was just standing there like everybody else, waiting for Trump. And as Trump started, I noticed two officers that were looking for something or somebody. I was looking around myself and seeing a guy on top of one of the buildings go in between one building to the next, and went and told the officer that he was up there. And when I went back to my spot, I heard that people could still see the person from where they were standing. So I checked that out, and I went back to tell the officer that if he came over there, he could see them. And when I turned my back is when the shots started, and then it took me a second or two to figure out exactly what it was, and then it was just getting out of there and
I'm not a military guy.
helping some other person out with her child, and we got out, and that was the end of that, and I went and left, and that was all.
So anyway, that's one of the eyewitnesses that states that there was a lapse in time, right? Where, hey, we reported this to the police. Again, we're not trying to say that there is a conspiracy of sorts to assassinate this guy on behalf of the Democrats. We're just saying, hey, man, a lot of this evidence, you got to wonder. You just got to wonder, and then there was additional, we've got another gentleman here, thanks to End Wokeness and Elon Musk for sharing this. I'm sure the media would have rather kept this quiet. And this isn't, my understanding is this is an uncorroborated event. Okay. So in terms of, the person is stating they saw these things, but it's anecdotal. We don't have evidence that they actually did, right? So they're just an eyewitness.
And watch and listen to the rally, right? We couldn't see him, but we could hear him. So we walked up, and probably 5 to 7 minutes of Trump speaking. I'm estimating here. I have no idea, But we noticed a guy crawling, bear crawling up the roof of the building beside us, 50 feet away from us. So we're standing there, we're pointing at the guy crawling up the roof.
And he had a gun, right?
He had a rifle. We could clearly see him with a rifle. Absolutely. We're pointing at him. The police are down there running around on the ground. We're like, hey, man, there's a guy on the roof with a rifle. And the police were like, huh, what? Like they didn't know what was going on. We're like, hey.
Yeah, they're like all pointing. If you watch other videos, you can see that there's people like pointing and saying, hey, up on the roof.
Next thing you know,
I'm going to show you an
why is Trump still
top-down
speaking?
view of where
Why
the
have
shooter
they not
was in a
pulled him up the
second.
stage? I'm standing there pointing at him for, 2-3 minutes. Secret Service is looking at us from the top of the barn. I'm pointing at that roof, just standing there like this. And next thing you know, 5 shots ring out.
So you're certain that the shots came from that guy on the roof?
100%. 100%.
And he was up there for a couple of minutes.
He was up there.
You saw him up there for a couple
I mean, I
of minutes.
believe this guy. He's at the rally. He's, he's not saying anything sensational or unbelievable. He's being honest and saying, hey, this is what I.
Looking at us the whole time when we were
this is
standing
what I
by
saw.
that tree.
Could they see
binoculars?
Could they see him?
Probably not, because the roof, the way the slope went, he was behind where they could see. But why is there not Secret Service on all of these roofs here? I mean, this is not a big place.
Did you see, obviously everyone, when the shooting started, everyone was very panicked. Did you see what happened to him at all?
Oh yeah, they blew his head off.
Okay, sorry.
Secret Service blew his head off.
Okay, we just be careful because we don't quite know who's watching. But you're pretty sure they shot the guy.
Absolutely, 100%.
Okay.
Yep.
You saw that happen?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And did you see them go up to him afterwards, or?
They crawled up on the roof. They had their guns pointed at him, make sure he was dead. He was dead, and that was it. It was
so over. Anyway, so now you have two eyewitness accounts that there was like a lull in time, right, between when it was reported. Now, again, we're not going the conspiracy theory route. We're just kind of pointing out that things were mishandled, and if there were some kind of coordinated effort to do this, assassinations don't happen by themselves. Let's not kid ourselves here. There's always got to be somebody that triggers something. But anyway, so there you have it, folks. Let's get back to the way the media, especially CNN, you know how CNN loves to kind of make crap up. I do believe at some point they reported that Biden like tripped or stubbed his toe or something. I can't find that article. I didn't try too hard. I mean, it's CNN, so it's kind of like trying to pull up the Babylon Bee or the Onion. By the way, I love the Babylon Bee and the Onion, but those are satirical publications that tell you that they're satirical publications, right? CNN does not tell anybody that, hey, we're just making shit up and hope that you believe it. But you can see originally they reported this as Trump's speech interrupted by the Secret Service. Like as if he's just there and they came over and said, hey, we're just gonna jump on you. And yeah, I mean, come on, man. Leftist media, and not to go with Trump's usual description of CNN, but yeah, they are definitely fake news, guys. I definitely would not believe these guys when it comes to important stuff. Anyway, let's keep going here. So this is CNN, and this is a guy that an anchor, a reporter, journalist that I've actually followed all my life. I've generally, I generally like Wolf Blitzer. Not that I agree with him all the time, but I always saw him as sort of a serious person that wouldn't really sit out there and spew propaganda like Stephen Colbert or the late night. What's the guy? God, I can't remember his name. But anyway, let's listen to this real quick. This is about a minute long. Okay.
Now, if someone is shot with a bullet that pierces the upper part of your right ear, wouldn't that bullet also continue onto someone's skull and create a much more dangerous situation?
Yeah, a person
so
died.
That's a great question,
fucking
Wolf.
Dummy.
And what the intent of a shooter with a rifle in an attempted assassination is to get that bullet to go into the head and across. What may have happened here is that either the way the former president turned or the angle that the shooter had on that shot, it may have just grazed the outside, piercing the skin and carrying on. What's going to be really interesting, and this is how we're going to know whether it was hit by a ricochet or a fragment or a graze wound, is what did they recover from that wound? Is there a piece of a metal jacket
what did they recover
from around
from that
that was
wound?
fired that they have?
I'm sorry. If you know, you know. If you know, you know. There's just the questions that they're asking are ridiculous at this point. And so one thing that I'd like to ask you guys, think about this. As insane as the United States is right now, with all the craziness, all the hatred, all the division, what do you think would have happened if Trump was actually killed? Like the moment he died, what do you believe would have happened in this country? There are some people, myself included, that believe that it's very likely that 50% of the country that does like the guy would have taken up arms and said, we're done. This is enough. You can't go, we're not Cuba. We're not Venezuela. We're not Russia. We don't poison our candidates. We're not North Korea. We're not China. We're the fucking United States of America, man. You know what I mean? We set the example. We set the tone. We set the pace. And we're resorting to crap that happens in places that are lawless, all under the umbrella of the Democrat Party. It's insane. And so let's take a look here. We've got an article on the Gazette, the Denver Gazette, by a gentleman by the name of Timothy P. Carney here that basically says, had that bullet, the argument that he's making is, had that bullet just gone just a little bit slightly more towards the right, we'd be in a civil war right now. You'd be waking up to a very different Sunday morning, guys. Again, why are Democrats pushing for this kind of violence, pushing all this toxicity into our nation? Doesn't make any sense. So let's take a look at that rooftop. This is courtesy of the sorry about that, courtesy of the Gateway Pundit, and they've kind of collected a bunch of these tweets and data here, but just to kind of give you an idea of, where Trump was, where the Secret Service snipers, well, we assume they were Secret Service. They might be local law enforcement. We don't know. But just take a look at this. And we've got this gentleman here, Oliver Alexander, who thankfully did a little bit of investigative work just to kind of show us what was going on. So let's expand this a little bit, see if we can get, so the stands are right here. This is that image you see up here where the soldiers are directly looking, now keep in mind that the way they would probably be looking is kind of like a cone shaped, I would assume, because you can see more of the horizon the more you zoom out, right? So I would assume that they're probably not staring directly at that rooftop. They're probably kind of just scanning the horizon. And I get it. This rooftop is facing, the slope is facing downward. So the shooter theoretically would have to kind of crawl upward and kind of peek over the side, if that makes sense. I assume, I don't know. Obviously I've never been to this place, but just from the looks of it, it is a sloped or slanted roof. That being said, I mean, look at the distance, guys. Like, I don't care if the security perimeter ends like right here. I mean, even if it ended right here, you don't think Secret Service should be smart enough to say, hey, let's just keep somebody present in this area here and maybe in this area over here. Like, just kind of prevent something crappy from taking place. They didn't do that. And that's honestly very surprising to me. And so another one of the, like a better shot here that I think you guys should check out. And again, thanks to the Gateway Pundit, they're a very, very robust publication. I do check them out whenever I have a chance. Here you have a more kind of front-facing view of kind of like what the crowd was seeing, right? So look at this. This is where Trump was standing, right here. This is where the stands were. The photo that you've seen with the snipers is taken from over here somewhere, and they are facing this. I mean, guys, come on. Like, look at that distance, man. I would have been, I'm not a military guy, and I definitely have never been in law enforcement, and I do not know anything about protecting people from a security or bodyguard standpoint, but you're telling me that is appears to be the closest major building in the area, and it's got an elevated position, and there's buildings in the back with elevated positions, and they didn't think to just, I don't know, guys. I don't know. I'm not trying to get conspiratorial here, but I don't know, guys. I really have to question what's going on here, Let's see here. And let's take a look here. All right. So here we've got a video. Oh, here we go. Sorry about that. Pelosi tells us the master plan.
It's a diversionary tactic. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. You demonize, and then we call it the wrap-up smear. If you want to talk politics, you call it the wrap-up smear. You smear somebody with falsehoods and all Trump, the rest.
Like they're doing
with Trump. And then you merchandise it.
Right.
And then you write it.
You sell it to the media.
See, it's reported in the press that
right.
this,
the media
this, and this.
It.
So they have that validation that the press reported the smear, and then it's called the wrap-up smear. Now I'm going to merchandise the press's report on the smear that we made.
Obama has a similar speech out there where he kind of details, Oh, anyway, I mean, Nancy Pelosi kind of giving you the playbook of exactly what they're going to do. And thanks to the Daily Caller for that video. Here's another one on, I don't know if you guys know who Sean Ryan is. He's got the Sean Ryan Show on YouTube. Great podcast. Biden threat to put Trump in a bullseye met with shrugs, in contrast over firestorm over Palin crosshair. So if you remember a few years back, I think Palin had said something about putting somebody in the crosshairs or putting, and the left kind of absolutely lost their mind. They sat there and they were like, oh, these guys are just getting people riled up. They're going to cause so much violence, blah, blah, blah. And yet when Biden himself tells his potential donors that, hey guys, it's time to put this guy in a bullseye. Now, granted, it could just be a coincidence. Once again, we could just say all of these are coincidences. But nonetheless, why doesn't the media react the same way when the sitting president says we need to put the presidential candidate in a bullseye, and then a couple of days later there's an attempted assassination? I kind of think somebody has to stand up and say, hey man, this isn't right. As Americans, this isn't right. And again, we're giving them the benefit of the doubt as not being the ones that hired this assassin, right? We're assuming that they're innocent and that there's just some whack job that decided to try to kill the president. I personally don't believe it. I do believe it is a coordinated effort. And thanks to Sean Ryan for posting that. Let's continue here. All right. Oh, I see. So they were trying to pass a bill that called the SAVE Act, which would basically make it illegal for non-U.S. citizens, or would prevent non-U.S. citizens from voting in elections. And out of 213 Democrats, 198 voted no. So shall we connect the dots and say, wait, there's 8 to 11 million undocumented immigrants that have come into the United States over the last 4 years. And we are desperately trying to say, hey, do not allow these people to vote in our elections just in case. And they're saying, no, I think there's already something in the Constitution about it, so we're not going to bother. I mean, come on, guys. This is silly here. This is absolutely silly that Democrats would vote against this. This is kind of like them voting, that bill, I think it was SB 1414 in California, where they were trying to make it a felony for somebody to purchase a child for sex. And Democrats shut it down because they said it's not fair to the person exploiting the child. Like, what is wrong with these people, man? Like, seriously, I don't know. Like, what happened to my country? Where did all the good human beings and the common sense people go? We could disagree about politics, but can we still protect children? We can disagree about politics, but can we not want assassinations to happen? Can we not want migrants to vote in our elections? Come on, guys. So anyway, guys, this is kind of, this is just kind of what I wanted to present to you guys today. And hope that you guys will make your own decisions on who to vote for. I hope that, like anyone else, that you guys will go out and research things yourself. And I mean, really dig. Don't just Google the very first search that comes up and go, oh, there's my confirmation bias. This says I'm right, and I'm still going to vote for Biden. Remember, the Democrats are also the same people that are protecting Hamas right now, that are going against Israel, that are, all these universities, Harvard, UCLA, especially universities in California. I mean, it's nuts, but you've got NYU and Columbia. These are all liberal, progressive peoples that are pro-terrorist group, pro-murder, and these are the people that, if you have half a brain, these are the people that you might inadvertently get back into office and you don't realize it. So get out there, do your research, at least be informed, at least do that. And so, yeah, want to leave you guys with a feel good reel and something that's going to light up your day here. This is on Russell Brand's page. I believe the sound is probably from Andrew Tate. I don't know. I haven't researched it, but listen to this, guys. This will pump you up. And again, thanks to Russell Brand for posting this and whoever generated this. Awesome work.
Imagine shooting a man with your last bullet,
I might have
and
to
he
play it
stands there. Imagine shooting a man with your last bullet, and he stands there, unfazed.
That's right. Nice try, guys. Not going to get a second chance. Sorry. It's simply not going to happen. I think there's a lot of people that are moderates that are realizing that the left has lost its mind, that this is not the way a democracy works. This is not the way, we've agreed. I started off by saying that, that you can't, I started off by saying you can't agree to a system as Americans and then be sore losers when 50% of the country agrees on something you don't, and you don't like it. You just have to, say, hey, we've agreed to these rules. Trying to impeach Supreme Court justices and things of that nature. Like, I don't know, man, get out of here. Anyway, guys, thank you for listening. I hope this helps you put things into context. And don't forget to don't forget to follow and like our YouTube channel. I appreciate you guys checking us out. I don't know where you're watching this. You might be watching this on Rumble, Instagram, wherever. We are on all major media platforms. So, check us out and follow us on there. And thank you. Thank you for engaging me. Thank you for listening. Let's hope that our country can start to tone down all this garbage coming from the left, and that we can start to kind of get back to a place where America sets the example for the world, and where America helps other countries prosper rather than other countries collapse like it has been doing.